So there was this guy who was convinced he was dead. So a psychiatrist was trying to convince him that he wasn't dead. And no matter what the psychiatrist said, the man was convinced he was dead. He just believed he was dead no matter what. So the psychiatrist said, well, you know, dead people can't bleed. And the guy's like, yeah. So the psychiatrist took a needle and pricked the guy's finger, and the man began to bleed. The man looks at his finger and says, wow, dead people can bleed. So you'll see how that story applies later down the video. So in 2003, if my memory is correct, a nurse, a former Planned Parenthood nurse, spoke before the Illinois State Senate. And she explained the situation that recently happened to her. This woman had an abortion. The doctor took the baby and threw it in the garbage like they normally do in abortions. And the nurse heard the baby whimpering and realized the baby was alive. So she picked up the baby and told the doctor, "Doctor, this baby's alive. Can you do something to save it?" And he goes, no, it's an aborted baby. You just gotta let it die. It'll die. Just throw it back in the trash. The woman was horrified and held the baby and until the baby died. But she said the baby was gasping for air and died a painful death of suffocation, I guess, 45 minutes later. Well, the state senate was so disturbed by this that they voted overwhelming, well, almost overwhelming, 99-1 to ban that practice. And so they wrote a law called, I think it's called Baby Born Alive Infants Protection Act. And it stated if you had a failed abortion, the doctor had to do everything he can to save the baby. Well, like I said, it was 99-1. The one state senator who voted against that was Barack Obama. So it was no surprise to me when Barack Obama became president that he became the most pro-abortion president we've ever seen. His first day in office, through executive orders, he got rid of all Bush's protections about abortions overseas, money that, government money that we were sending overseas, said can't go for abortion. He changed all that in day one. He came out of the gate running. He just wanted to kill babies as fast as he could. And not only that, he was the most anti-Catholic, anti-Protestant, anti-religious president we've ever seen. He sicked his IRS, his Department of Justice. I mean, everyone heard about Little Sisters of the Poor getting sued by the Justice Department, and because Obama was trying to force them to provide contraception for the nuns. As ridiculous as that was, there were hundreds of more cases that really never made the news. I mean, he went after every pro-life group, every religious group. He was really, really evil. He spoke so nice, and he seemed like such a nice man. And, as far as his family, from what I can see, he was a good father and a good husband. But his policies, his worldview was very anti-Christian. It was very evil. And so after 8 years of that, when Christians heard Hillary Clinton in a debate say that she believes that we should have abortion throughout the 9 months for any reason the mother wants, she said this in a debate with Donald Trump. Most Christians knew they couldn't vote for her. Even though they were skeptical about Trump because of his lifestyle and his vulgarities, he was promising to fight abortion. So you had the choice of someone up front saying they were going to keep the killing going, and someone up front saying they were going to stop the killing. So a lot of Christians like myself voted reluctantly for Trump because we knew he was the better of the two options, but we were skeptical. Was he really going to be as pro-life as he said? But we knew what we were getting with Hillary. I mean, she supported her husband when, I don't know if you remember this, you might be too young, but there was a partial birth abortion that was popular back in the 90s. So it was a late-term abortion, when they had like these 6-pound babies they were going to abort. It was easier for the doctor just to pull them out by the leg, and it was legal, as long as their head didn't come out, to stick a big needle into their brains and suck their brains out. And all abortions are painful for the unborn child, but this was extremely painful for the unborn child. So the Republicans had control of the House and the Senate, so they passed a bill banning this horrific abortion. And Bill Clinton, with the full support of Hillary Clinton, overturned the veto, vetoed it. He vetoed it. And then thank God George Bush came in and right away signed that right into law. So he banned, thank God George Bush banned this partial birth abortion. But Hillary Clinton, I think, would have tried to push for, if she had the Democratic control like Obama, she would have probably pushed for that to come into play. She also said in the Planned Parenthood speech that the baby doesn't have the right to life until she leaves the hospital. So in other words, even if the mother has the baby, she could decide not to keep the baby and kill it. I mean, this is some bizarre stuff. The Democrats are extreme now. It's not the party of JFK anymore. This is the party of Satan, in my view, with all due respect to my Democrat friends. So Trump comes in, and on his first day, his executive orders reverses Obama's, and he puts all these pro-life laws in effect. We're not going to give taxpayer money to these abortion groups overseas. And then he promised to put pro-life judges, and he put 2 in already. And on the federal level, he put even more. So he's doing more for the pro-life movement than any president we ever had. For Israel, Christians love Israel, and they fear like they're being attacked by the whole world, just like in the days of Hitler. And every president since Ronald Reagan, who I loved, promised to put the American embassy in Jerusalem, and none of them did it. Reagan promised, Bush's promised, Clinton promised, Carter promised, and no one came through. Trump did it, and CNN went crazy, and the Democrats went crazy, saying he's going to start World War III, and look, nothing happened. Our embassy is in Jerusalem, just like Trump promised. He's the only president that would have the guts to do that. So even though I was reluctant to vote for him the first time, I'm anxious to vote for him the second time. You know, my first pick was Marco Rubio and John Kasich. I thought that would be the dream team back in the day. You know, Ohio and Florida, we got them, and 2 solid Catholic pro-life guys that are smart, speak very nice. Instead, we got a guy that don't speak very nice and doesn't act very nice. But his policies are so pro-Christian and so pro-life that we have to support this man. Because if you look just now, what these Democrats want, look at New York State. I'm sure you heard about this. The governor of New York State just signed a bill into law that will allow abortion through the entire term. No matter what the federal government says, their state law says a woman can have an abortion the entire 9 months for whatever reason she wants. And he overturned that Baby Born Alive Act, because New York had it as well as Illinois after that. So now, when they signed that bill into effect, saying if a baby's born alive by accident, the doctor can kill it. Not just let it die, can kill it. And the Democrats gave that bill a standing ovation. That's not spiritual and demonic. I don't know what is. That is evil. That is pure evil. I mean, there's a clear difference right now between the Democrats and Republicans. You know I try to stay out of politics on this channel. I got another channel for that, Rob Blue Collar Guy, but I really don't get much time to do that one. I haven't made a video on there in a very long time. So, you know, I apologize for mixing politics and religion, but sometimes you can't separate the two when our politicians are so anti-life, and this is a center of Catholic teaching for 2,000 years. There's no way you could be a Catholic and support someone who supports murder like this. And this is the mainstream Democrats now. They all support that New York law, everyone running for president. And not only are they anti-life, but they're so anti-Catholic. You've seen it in the Kavanaugh hearings. You've seen it even recently in a federal hearing for a federal judge. Kamala Harris, who's running for a Democrat president, said she couldn't vote for him because he was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and the Knights of Columbus are against reproductive rights and same-sex marriage. Can you believe this? And she wasn't alone. There were other Democrat senators that echoed her concern that he belonged to the Knights of Columbus, like he belonged to the KKK or something. And then there's a great devout Catholic woman who Trump appointed to a federal bench. I forget her name. I think her first name is Amy. And we're hoping that he replaces Ginsburg with her, because she is another strong pro-life Catholic judge. And Dianne Feinstein, another leading Democrat, questioned her when she was going she was being appointed for a federal judgeship, and said, "You're really devoutly Catholic." She goes, "I have no problem with Catholics, but your dogma lives loudly in you, and that scares me." Whoa, so basically she practices her faith. She likes the Catholics that are apostate, like Governor Cuomo, but the Catholics actually practice the faith that the church has taught for 2,000 years, scares her. So she voted against her. And a lot of people, I don't know if you've seen my other video about the Make America Great kid who was all over the news. A lot of people, and I don't see the evidence for this, but I can understand their thoughts. A lot of people I talk to think that they attacked that Catholic's kid to bring out the Catholic teaching on life and same-sex marriage and all that, and make them look like bigots because they believe this woman Amy, and I forget her last name, this federal judge whose dogma lives loudly in her, is going to be the next appointment to the Supreme Court. So they already want to, put this anti-Catholic sentiment back into the air like it was when JFK was running for president. And speaking of judges, during the Kavanaugh hearing, something very interesting happened. He was another devout Catholic. But I'm going to back up a little bit to a book written by Jonathan Cahn called The Paradigm. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of it, but basically he explains how a lot of things in the Old Testament mirrors the present day. And he gave an example of Jezebel wanting to be queen, and there was Baal worship. And Baal worship is a temple of Baal where the pagans would take their infants and sacrifice them to the god Baal. They would, and this has been going on for years. It's demonic because these demons live on the blood of babies, unborn babies, and babies. They find power in this. It's sick. It's disgusting, but it's happened throughout history, where pagans have taken their babies and sacrificed them to their gods. And Jezebel said she would keep this practice up, and the religious Hebrew leaders wanted her defeated. So the Bible says there was a guy named Jehu who was hot-blooded, vulgar, rough, kind of describes Trump, was running to be king, and the religious leaders supported him because he was going to destroy the temple of Baal. And Jehu beat Jezebel. And his first day in office, he destroyed the temple of Baal. And a funny thing Jonathan Cahn mentioned, and I looked it up, and he was telling the truth, is when Donald Trump announced he was running for president, when he came down an elevator, there was an ancient rune in Syria. It was a temple of Baal. It somehow collapsed the same day. So a lot of Christians believe that although, like Jehu, Trump isn't this godly man, this religious man, God chose him, and God is using him to end abortion in America. And the forces of evil will not have it. The demons are going crazy, and they're using people to come against us. And during the Kavanaugh hearing, which was very odd, the Washington Museum, I don't know, the Washington Museum of History, whatever, was presenting a replica of the statue of Baal. And they brought it out right before, not on purpose, not consciously, I don't think, but they brought it on display right in front of the Supreme Court that whole week that the Democrats attacked Kavanaugh with all those accusations that we now know were lies. Women have admitted they were lies. So there's a spiritual battle, and this is why Christians support Trump, although he's not the most godly guy, and he's got a lot of faults and flaws. He's the most pro-life, pro-Catholic, pro-Christian president we've ever had in our lifetime. So pray for our president and think about what I said. God bless. Hope I didn't offend too many of my Democrat friends.